All right, friends, we are live again tonight. This is episode 128. I think I titled this one Late Night Crypto Show. It seems like I hardly ever get to go live until at least 10 or even later Central Standard Time. So we'll call this the Late Night Crypto Show. And wanted to talk about what's going on in the space over the last couple of days. It's been really interesting. If you're, at all involved in crypto, then you know that we've had a downturn. Some are calling it a crash. Some call it a correction. Call it whatever label you want to give it. A lot of crypto tokens, coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, many of them are down 20%, more than 20%. A lot of them in the mid double digit, 17, 18, 10%. And then there are a few like Solano and I think Algorand. Solano is just going like crazy. I bought Solano at Solana at 111. I was even hesitant then. It went up to about 140 and I sold it, took a short profit. I thought surely it was going to go through a correction, looking for somewhere in the 80 or 90 range. And it's been as high, I think, as 210. So I missed the boat on that one. But I know that Solana has, I'm sure, made a number of people rich, if not realized, certainly on paper, nonetheless. So one of the other really cool pieces of news, actually yesterday, September 7th, was Bitcoin Day, was a hashtag that was used by many to commemorate El Salvador officially making Bitcoin legal tender. A lot of people very happy about it, some not so happy about it, some, Bitcoiners with some issues, and maybe we'll talk about some of those. And you want to also say real quick, if you're watching on Facebook or Twitter, any of those other platforms, I've got audiences on, again, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch even. I go live most often on YouTube, so come on over to YouTube. Use the link strammel.info/YouTube and come on over and subscribe, turn on notifications, like, share, comment, all the things. Come on over to YouTube. Also, regardless of where you're watching, please come connect with me if you're not already connected with me on Twitter. I am only about 50 followers away from getting to the 600 that you need to be able to host your own Twitter Spaces. Looking forward to adding that to my capabilities with regards to content creation. So come on over. Been able to grow over the last week or so. Easily only had about 300 or so followers. And with the great Voyager community, the VGX Heroes, which I'm a part of, just the people that are on the Voyager platform, also Celsius, another platform that I use almost daily. Those two communities and just people that I have met in Twitter crypto land have decided to follow me. So looking forward to continuing to add value on Twitter. That's where I post a lot of my thoughts as far as just as they come daily, and share other good content that I see on Twitter in my feed. So come connect with me at Shane Trammell. You can see it up there. My Instagram is Shane Trammell. My Twitter is at Shane Trammell. You can follow me on Facebook at Shane Trammell1. That would be awesome. But as I mentioned, want to real quickly briefly mention, as I said, Voyager Digital, great brokerage. It's not really an exchange. It's a crypto brokerage. They're going to be adding stocks before long, and you can, from what I understand, you'll be able to, in a sense, transfer or swap between crypto and stocks, and stock and crypto. It's a great place to buy and hold your crypto on the platform and earn very competitive interest. They're coming out with a debit card, which is going to be awesome. Right now, it's in all of the states here in America, except for New York. It is United States only right now, but they will hopefully be expanding into Canada, into Europe. Into Europe, it's just a matter of them picking the right time, scaling their solution, getting ready. They're adding tons of users here, even just in the United States. But Europe is probably next. Asia, I would hope at some point. Africa, Australia, all those other parts of the world. And they've got a great loyalty program, which I'm a part of. So you need to check that out. But go to strammel.info/Voyager. Do go to the description and find my reference code. That way, if you enter in the reference code, you'll get $25 in free Bitcoin. And who doesn't love free Bitcoin? Just some announcements as well. I've got some good interviews coming up. I'm not going to spill the beans yet, but they'll be good. I know you'll enjoy them. These are interviewing some folks in the space that I've gained a lot of knowledge from, that contribute a lot to the crypto community, and I want to bring them to my community and give you guys and gals an opportunity to glean from what they have to say. So I guess the one other announcement is also want to tell you about the Celsius platform. I don't have the link showing on my banner, if you will, but if you go to strammel.info/CEL for Celsius, and you can go in the description on the YouTube or Facebook, you should also be able to see it. Again, make sure you enter in my code if it prompts you for one. That's only good for 48 hours, but if you do that, if within 30 days of signing up, you put $400 onto the platform, you'll get $50 in Bitcoin. So there's good reason to open up both a Voyager and a Celsius account. So that's $75 in Bitcoin. Go to Voyager, buy $400 worth of crypto, transfer it over to Celsius, and earn some really good interest, and have a platform where you can borrow. Again, they both have, I wouldn't say cons. I really don't think either platform has any bad aspects to them. It's just that in some cases, Celsius, for example, on Matic, 10.51%. On Voyager, I think it's 5.25. On Voyager, you can earn 5.75% interest on all of your Bitcoin, whereas on Celsius, it's 6.25% on your first Bitcoin, and then on your second, third, fourth, fifth, whatever, 3.25, something along those lines. And so it really just depends on your goals, what you're trying to do. Now, if you want to be able to borrow against your Bitcoin, let's say, or maybe you want to borrow against Ethereum, or you want to borrow against any number of your crypto that's on that Celsius supports, then you can use your crypto as collateral and get a 1% interest loan. You can actually get, I think, 6% and maybe 8%. And then the loan to value ratio, in other words, you can borrow more with less collateral, but you obviously have to pay a higher interest rate. I'm partial to the 1%, which is a loan to value ratio 25. And that's basically for every dollar you want to borrow, you have to have $4 in your account. So you can borrow against Bitcoin, Ethereum, USDC, a lot of different options. And there's a lot of different ways that you can use that to your advantage. So that's not the purpose of tonight's live stream. Don't want to go into that in detail. But I am going to be looking into, I think, the ambassador program for Celsius. Again, if I were to pick my top 3 favorite platforms, and I think it's perfectly okay to, even as a content creator, to obviously have a number of platforms that you use on the daily basis. So it has nothing to do with my lack of devotion to any one of those. So Voyager, Digital, Steve, if you're listening, I love your platform. I'm super committed to it. Alex, CEO from Celsius. If you're listening to this, I love the Celsius platform. Would love to have you on the show. Steve, Voyager Digital CEO, would love to have you on the show as well. So my allegiance is 100% to both of those. And then the third platform among many that I use, but the third one that I will talk about tonight, and I actually have a little link for that as well. I Trust Capital. I Trust Capital allows you to basically have a crypto IRA, Roth IRA. You can even do a 401k. I'm also going to be, and so I love this platform, by the way. I took a fairly sizable retirement plan that I had, moved it into I Trust Capital. I've had it about a month now, I believe, and I've been able to increase my increase that portfolio, if you want to call it that, by about 39%. I would have never been able to do that, or not likely been able to do that on the traditional type platforms. So yeah. Do have a comment here. Asif Gold, do you think Solana will keep going up? That's a really good question. And you've already left, but I'd love to see it continue to go up for those that own it, but I'd like to also see it go back down to about $80 so that I can accumulate, and then I'm more than happy for it to go back up again. So anyway, just to answer the question. So back to I Trust Capital just for a moment, and then we'll move on to other things. But I Trust Capital, I transferred my money from my retirement account into I Trust Capital Standard IRA because of the large amount. I didn't want to have a big tax bill at the end of this year. I will start moving some of that into a Roth. With a Roth IRA, your investment grows tax-free, not tax-deferred. I think, honestly, it's a little bit of a misnomer that when you're at 59 and a half, if you decide to take it out at 59 and a half, that you're in a lower tax bracket. A lot of people, even at 59 and a half, maybe even at 60, are still in a pretty high tax bracket, or still in the tax bracket maybe they were, just a few years earlier. So you just have to be mindful of that and decide for yourself. If you're a small company and you're watching this, you have an LLC. If it's just a 2-person company, maybe you and your spouse, or other employees that work, I think, less than 500 hours a year, or something like that. You don't have to offer the 401k to them, but you can have the 401k and put in a lot more money per year. That would be just a great way to put away, a good chunk of money, watch it grow, tax free, and not only prepare for your retirement, but build a legacy, something you can leave to your kids and grandkids if you so choose, or some other beneficiary. One other thing I will say, as I'm talking about IRAs, 401ks, I am planning on bringing on Unchained Capital as well. They are bringing into their fold a crypto IRA as well. Now, what makes their offering very unique is the ability to maintain your keys. So it's a multi-sig setup where you will have your keys, and then Unchained Capital will have the other two. So it's a 3-key multi-sig setup, and you'll have one set of keys and they will have the other, but you will have control of your keys, unlike most all other legacy crypto IRA platforms. Now, I Trust Capital, again, I love the platform. You can trade 24/7, 365. They have a really good dashboard. You can see all kinds of things. The only thing that, at this moment at least, that attracts me to the Unchained Capital offering is the fact that I could have access to my own keys. Now, I Trust Capital is supposed to be adding yield, I believe, at some point, where you can stake. Staking is normally, though, thought of in the realm of proof of stake crypto, so you don't really stake Bitcoin. So I'm hoping that you will be able to earn interest on your Bitcoin on I Trust Capital. I mean, if they're going to maintain the keys, if you don't really have direct access to it, then why not earn interest on it like you can on Celsius and Voyager? So yeah, now let's get back to talking about El Salvador for a moment, and about them being the first country, nation state, sovereign, whatever term you want to use, but the first country in the history of the world to make Bitcoin legal tender. Now, the fact that they've done that in and of itself is history making. There are some concerns that people have about it, and we can talk about a few of those, but it is without question a historical event that Bitcoin is now considered legal tender in a country in the world. Now, you could argue that legal tender laws are actually not very good because they restrict or restrain you in some cases from doing certain things, or force you to do certain things, and potentially in some cases there are capital controls. So legal tender laws didn't always exist, and we might arguably be better across the board without them. I guess one thing from a personal perspective, you could argue that legal tender laws make it to where, you know, someone has to take your money, but that's not true in a lot of cases, at least in the United States. During the pandemic, we had the US dollar is legal tender, but there were, retailers, different companies that didn't want to take cash for a certain period of time there because of COVID, and they don't have to apparently accept it. I think what legal tender really says is, when you're paying your taxes and certain government, when you're paying the government certain things, they have to take it, but or more, maybe even better said, is you have to use legal tender when you're paying your taxes, those types of things. I would much prefer a free market where the market participants, you and me and everyone else, actually determines what is money. That's the way it has been for the longest part, when relative to the time that mankind has been on the earth here and using money. It has been more the case that it was not centralized, and it wasn't, the country or the sovereign that was deciding what was money. Anytime you put money into the hands of a government, when it's centralized, they will abuse that responsibility, which is what it really should be. Even the gold standard, as great as it was, starting with the goldsmiths and on to the central banks, the goldsmiths would hold people's gold, um, and they would issue them receipts for it, but they would also basically create money out of thin air by issuing more receipts than they actually had gold, knowing that no one would come, or that not everyone would come at the same time and ask for all their gold. Central banks do the same thing. We're not on the gold standard anymore, but there must be something to gold, because most nations, including America, has a large stockpile of gold. But enough about that. Bitcoin is the best money ever invented, in my opinion, and I'm not alone in saying that. Much better than gold in many ways. Fixed supply, 21 million. I heard a really interesting statistic yesterday, or maybe the day before. Think about this for a minute. So of the 21 million, 18 million, 18 plus million, somewhere in the 18 million range, have been created, through the Bitcoin mining process. 18 million. There's an estimate, I think 3-4 million of that maybe is lost. People have lost it a number of ways. Satoshi himself, since he used a name of a he, I'm going to say he. It could have been a she. It could have been multiple people. I don't know. But Satoshi set aside a certain amount for himself. When you look at how much Bitcoin is owned by institutions like MicroStrategy, Tesla, various others, even Voyager Digital, you can go look up which companies own how much Bitcoin, all that. But when you take that into consideration, and the large, wealthy holders, there's only about 3 million Bitcoin available right here now for people to buy. The interesting part about that is there are around 50 million millionaires, only 3 million Bitcoin. As a percentage, many of those millionaires don't own Bitcoin. So now's the time. If you're a millionaire, it's still the time. But if you haven't gotten to your first million or so yet, now is definitely the time to get in. It's still early. It's still very accessible. Start dollar cost averaging right now. Scratch and save and all that. Get at least one Bitcoin in your pocket, if you will, and you'll be super well off. Ultimately, a single Bitcoin. Don't know when, but I think it's an assured thing that it'll be worth $1 million one day in the next 10 to 15 to 20 years. Certainly be worth $1 million. And here's the thing: if you're, the regular Joe, as I would say, or the regular Joe or Jane, like me, not a millionaire, then now's your time, because once the well off, the wealthy, the rich, once they finally figure out that Bitcoin is something that they need, they're going to start FOMOing in, fear of missing out, right? They're going to FOMO in. They're going to have more resources than someone maybe like you and me, and they're going to gobble it all up, and it's going to be too late. And the economy will still run. There'll be a Bitcoin economy, I think, one day. Even those that don't own Bitcoin initially, I presume at some point people will pay for goods and services and pay salaries in Bitcoin and all that kind of thing. So it will get distributed out. But now's the time. I'll leave it at that. Bitcoin's down. Let me look over here. It's well, I don't have. It's about 45,000 and something. It has gone down again today. It had recovered from the flash crash, if you want to call it that. It had gone down as low as I think 42 maybe, got back up to 47, then went down into the 46,000 area most of the day. 45 and change is where it's at right now. Great place to dollar cost average in. Again, Voyager. I would go to Voyager if you don't already have a platform. Maybe you've already started with Coinbase. Let me tell you, Voyager, much better platform than Coinbase. Voyager is only on the phone right now, so you may or may not have a problem with that. But if you're hoping for a web app, not quite available yet, but it will be. You heard me earlier in the stream talk about Celsius. Celsius has, both a phone app and a well-rounded web app. So look in the description. I've got some other links as well that you may want to check out. Again, if you're following me or watching this on Twitter, come on over to YouTube, strammel.info/YouTube, and subscribe, turn on notifications, share with me some of your thoughts here. Let's have some dialogue, and let me know. I'm curious if you're brand new to crypto. So if you're watching this live, or if you're watching the replay, if you're watching this live, obviously in the chat, if you're watching the replay in the comments, I'd love to know if you're new to crypto, if you've been in the space for a while, how long, what are your favorite crypto investments. As I mentioned earlier in one of the, someone commented, they're like, is Solana going to continue to go up? It may. I thought it was going to, over the last 2 days, it has gone up in price when almost every other top cryptocurrency, literally every cryptocurrency on the Voyager platform, I know that because I use it a lot. Yesterday, every single one of them but Solana was down. Today, every one of them but Solana and Algorand, I think it is. And so Algorand, I think, has gone up 49% or something like that in the last couple of days. So that's crazy. But yeah, so now's the time to get in. Let me know whether you're new to crypto, whether you're a seasoned veteran, or if you're been in it for a while but still consider yourself kind of learning. I think we all should be continuing to learn. But also let me know, in the comments what kind of questions you've got, things that you would like to hear me talk about. I certainly, I was literally, as I was mowing today or this evening, try to mow in the evenings when the weather is cooler, but I was thinking about how I could use Celsius and the lending program to pay for some of my insurance. Health insurance is crazy, right? Ridiculous price. So, imagine a scenario where you build up enough Bitcoin that you can borrow against it at 1%. And then you don't pay your loan back by month. The way you do it on Celsius, you basically pay it at the end of, let's say 6 months. You can pay it back early, but you don't get early. You don't get any, your interest. You still have to pay the full amount. It's only 1%. So you don't get any discount by paying it early. So let's assume that you get a 1 year. That makes it easier for my scenario. Let's say you get a 1 year loan, 1%, a loan to value ratio of 25, which is for every dollar you want to borrow, you need $4 collateral. So let's maybe every month you get basically a 1 year loan or maybe a 6 month loan and pay your insurance with that. And then you don't have to sell any of your Bitcoin or whatever other crypto it is. And obviously, generally speaking, you're expecting that your Bitcoin is going to be going up in value. So you've got an asset that you're borrowing against that is actually appreciating in value over time. You could, on Voyager, earn up to 10% interest on USDC. And so you can basically every month put more into the Voyager account, USDC, and when it's time to pay off the loan, transfer that USDC over to Celsius, pay on your loan, start earning interest again on your Bitcoin, and then rinse and repeat. So if that wasn't 100% clear, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll comment in the comments. But I think that's a pretty powerful thing. Or maybe, let's say, you're having to have some kind of, God forbid, but let's say you're having to have some kind of major surgery, or maybe it's wisdom teeth. Maybe you're having to have your wisdom teeth taken out. Maybe you self-insure, or maybe your insurance doesn't cover it all, and you still got a big out-of-pocket expense. Well, why not pay that out over time on an asset that you can use as collateral? You're paying 1% if it's Bitcoin. Over the last decade, if you annualize the return, you're getting 230% a year on your Bitcoin. So it's a no-brainer. If you let's say you're out of pocket, that would be a pretty expensive wisdom tooth thing. But let's just say your out of pocket expense for whatever reason is $5,000. You would need $20,000 in Bitcoin or some other crypto. Bitcoin would be my preference for me. You then can get that in USDC, which is the quickest way. Literally, I think within a day or hours. Now, what you could do with that, transfer the USDC that they give you. I don't think there's any cost to do this into Voyager, and then sell that to US dollars. Again, it's dollar for dollar. No cost, I don't believe, to transfer that back into your account. Then you write the check to the insurance company or whatever. And then what you turn around and do is you figure out what a monthly payment would be to pay that off at the end of 6 months or a year. Every month, without fail, you basically buy USDC on Voyager. You earn 9 to 10% interest on it. And at the end of the 6 months or the year, you've earned interest on it. But when it's all said and done, you take the amount to pay back the loan, and you've earned 10% on your money until you get ready to use it. You're only paying 1% on the loan, and it's on the asset that it's secured against is hopefully earning 230% or so a year. So that's a no-brainer scenario. That is the power. That's how rich people stay rich, as they buy really good assets, and they turn those assets into ways to make money. They borrow money to buy more assets, and then rinse and repeat, that kind of thing. So think about that. See if that isn't something that would potentially be beneficial. I know the one that I'm going to look into, literally, I'm going to write down some possible scenarios, some ways that it would work out for my health insurance that I'm paying out of pocket. So maybe you want to use it to help your kids go to college, or get that first year under their belt. There's a lot of different ways. And then here, I think I'm going to end the show with this last bit of discussion about borrowing, if you will, against your Bitcoin or other crypto. Of course, the beauty in doing this is you're not getting rid of your asset, your Bitcoin, your Ethereum, whatever it is. So there's no tax event. You don't have to pay tax. There's no tax event when you borrow. And so that means your crypto stays where it's at. It continues to grow. It continues to gain value. And you don't have to pay that short-term or long-term capital gain. So that the longer that you can keep your crypto in crypto and not, selling it, the better off you are. And then, add on top of that, this I Trust Capital IRA, either a standard IRA or a Roth IRA, or if you've got a small business, a 401k. Super powerful. I only wish that I had found out a lot of these things when I was younger. Better late than never, as they say. Don't wait as long as I did. I'm 55 as tonight, September 8th, 2021. June 14th is my birthday. So I guess more than halfway. Guess it would be more than halfway to, well, not quite halfway. Anyway, 56 is the next birthday for me. And I only wish I'd started at least 5 years earlier. But again, better late than never. Don't wait as long as me. Get in, go get those 2 accounts. Go get a Voyager account. Go get a Celsius account. Voyager, you only need to invest $100, your first trade, if you will, or maybe it's a multiple trades. But once you have traded a total of $100 on Voyager using my link, you'll get $25 in Bitcoin. If you literally do it tonight, you'll also get, I think, $25 in VGX, which is their loyalty program token. It's their own platform token, and you also earn 7% interest on VGX. And then go to strammel.info/sell, get a Celsius account, use my link and my code, and get $50 in Bitcoin on Celsius when you invest, or basically put $400 worth of assets on their platform. So we're talking $500 total, and with that you get $75 in Bitcoin. So you're getting $75 in an asset that is on its way up. Yes, for those that are new to crypto, sure, there is some volatility, but actually you should be thankful for the volatility. That's the only reason that you can buy an asset at $45,000 if you bought it literally today, and it be 100,000 potentially by the end of this year, if not more. And then, over the next 5 years, let's say 250,000 over the next 10 to 15 or 20, up to $1 million. And who knows where it's going to go from there? I don't know. But yeah, do come back. Again, if you're on any of the other platforms, if you're on Facebook, if you're on Twitter, if you're on Twitch, please come on over to YouTube. Subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when I go live again. I've got a lot of plans for future episodes. I want to bring people on that will be able to share a different perspective than me, a nuanced perspective, or go a level deeper than I can in certain areas. Like I'd mentioned, Unchained Capital, I want to bring those guys on. I've got a one of the Bitcoin Beach folks from one of the leaders from Bitcoin Beach there in El Salvador that's going to be coming on. I've got Alex from Trade the Chain that has said he will come on. Another guy from Bitcoin Magazine. So for me, it's a matter of doing those things during the day becomes difficult. So I, have to work with these folks that I want to bring on, and hopefully do that in the evenings. Got a day job. I'm sure a lot of you have a day job. So we do what we got to do, right? So, but crypto is, in my opinion, can be the way forward for many people. I was going to talk tonight about, or the title kind of was going to be, something along the lines of, is investing in Bitcoin gambling? I'm sure if you're into it and been into it for a while and talked to anyone about Bitcoin, or even the stock market for that matter, a lot of times people will characterize that as just gambling. Well, gambling, I'm only going to briefly talk about this, and I think I'm going to expound on this another night. But gambling, generally speaking, you already go into that activity expecting to lose. if you expect to win, you're not very smart, right? Because gambling by its very nature is, geared. The house has all the advantages, and every once in a while someone wins or no, and gambling to a certain extent is because it's fun. Whereas, investing in the stock market or investing in cryptocurrency, or quote unquote speculating. When you speculate in crypto, um, normally you can gamble on crypto, and I'll maybe explain that here in just a second, or my thoughts on that. But if you're speculating, investing, then you are making calculated risk. You're investing in something that has a track record, that you can look at data on, that you can talk to other people about, that have some fixed rules, some general um, thoughts that can be applied. Whereas when you pull the lever on a slot machine, or throw the balls on the roulette table, or draw a card from a deck, you have no idea what you're going to get. Risk, yes, is involved in crypto, but it's definitely not gambling. There's a lot of data points, a lot of things that you can draw on to make a calculated, take a calculated risk, and it's nowhere close to gambling if you've done your research, if you put in the time. Now, if you just go buy some crypto, Dogecoin, let's say, or Shiba Inu, or Safe Moon, or a number of those, because you saw someone pump it up on a YouTube channel, or saw that a lot of people in Reddit or Discord or Twitter is just saying, "Hey, get rich quick with this," and you just go and get it without any research on your own. That is gambling, and literally gambling, and you're more likely to lose than you are to win. And some of these crypto projects are a lot like, casinos, right? Where there's going to be a few winners, but most everybody is going to be a loser by the very nature of how the thing is set up. So stick with the top 10 to 20. I would not buy 10 or 20 when you first start, but I mean, if you're going to pick from a list, stay with the top 20 or so. You can go to Coin Market Cap and look at that, or Coin Gecko. There's a couple of others, but I'll leave it at this. This is financial opinion, not financial advice. I should have said that at the beginning, but everything we share here is for educational purposes, and for you to bounce off of your own research and a financial advisor, that type of thing. But yeah, you can go with Bitcoin, Ethereum, a few other top coins, and be pretty assured that you're going to, over time, have something that's going to appreciate in value. If I was going to tell someone to only get one thing, it would definitely be Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is the ultimate store of value. And not only does it store value, it appreciates in value over time. Very well could be the world reserve currency in the next 20 to 30 years. Who knows? The dollar, right now is the world reserve currency, but it is losing its allure in many cases. Countries are moving away from it. Here in America, we're already experiencing our own levels of inflation. The CPI, Consumer Price Index, is the stat that we're given. In the last report, I think, was 5.4%. That's what they report on. Doesn't even include everything. It doesn't even include all the things that it used to include. And to make matters worse, I think everyone knows that we're experiencing something much higher than 5.4%. Most likely, in real terms, we're looking at 15 to 20%. I read the other day that when you take into account inflation, all the economic conditions we've been in since 1972, with exceptions, yes, but generally speaking, The common person, most people have not had a raise, employment raise when you put it up against inflation since 1972. Think about that for a minute. In nominal, what's called nominal terms, sure, people have gotten raises, but in real terms, when you put it up against how much homes cost, how much vehicles cost, how much gas cost, electricity, how much it costs to go to college, how much it costs to go to a private school if you want to send your kids to a private school, all those kinds of things, all kinds of assets, Rolex watches, whatever it is, it's all gone up. And so those that have fared well in the economy, the American economy, and most other economies around the world, modern economies are built on a Keynesian model, which is a model of spending, not a model of saving, but a model of spending where we spend and we borrow. We have debt, we have credit, and the only way our economy grows is to spend more. At some point, that's unsustainable. So at some point, we're going to have a reset in everything. And so Bitcoin, I believe, I'm convinced after researching it probably 250 hours or so, at some point it's going to be approaching 300 hours of study, research, ongoing, investment in time of understanding, investing in Bitcoin. But with that amount of time put in, I'm convinced, that Bitcoin is the most pristine, the best form of money ever invented. That's not to say something else couldn't come along, but when it comes to money, you don't actually want it to change a lot. You want to be able to, money's money. If it stores your value, if it grows in value, if there's a fixed supply, if it can't be changed, some of those characteristics, it's pretty hard to do better than that. So I think Bitcoin is, where I'm going to be investing as much as I can. Probably over 90% of my liquid assets are in crypto, most of that in Bitcoin. I do play around, if you will, in some cases. In other cases, I do have a sizable amount on Voyager with their loyalty program because of where I believe Voyager is going as a company, as a platform. Again, I said at the beginning of the live stream, with right now growing as fast as they are only in the United States, excluding New York right now. But when they bring on Europe, when they bring on Canada, when they bring on Asia, when they bring on Africa, all over the world, right? Middle East, that type of stuff. We're going to only see them grow even more. So enough about that. I do want to say thank you for joining. If you maybe you're a company looking to sponsor more shows, let me know. Get in touch with me. Would love to entertain sponsors to allow me to make even more content. That would be great for my audience. So if you're a company, maybe you want me to wear a hat like this or something. So hope you like my hat. That'd be great. I'm more than happy to talk to sponsors. So I want to thank you, all of those that tuned in, regardless of whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, you name it. Like to be on LinkedIn eventually, but come back for the next one. The next time we go live, I'm not sure if it'll be tomorrow. I would like to get back to daily live streams, but it'll be episode 129 when we do. And you can know that we'll cover something that should be of value to you. And we do appreciate your being here with us. So that will be it for tonight. Have a good one. Good night.